And so I had to oversee that with the other graduate students. And so some of the hazing was crazy. It was crazy. Like, and it was done nude, naked.
No, you've got to tell us a hazing story. We have to get it. And I'm going to ask Zane to please clip this so that we can use this as our pitch. We're going to use this video right here about the hazing rituals of brewing school in Belgium.
One of the worst ones it was called the elephant dance. So what they did was the new students who were being hazed, what they had to do was first drink, because everything revolved around being naked and drinking. So they had to drink, and these were big, heavy Belgian beers, like 10% alcohol. So
I'm afraid I know what the elephant dance may be, but keep going.
So as soon as they did that, the guys, and everything was done separate. It was the guys were hazed here, and then later the girls were hazed over there. But and then the senior female students, graduate students, oversaw the girls, and me and the other guys had to oversee the guys. So, but I had to pretend like I had been through this. So I said, "Oh yeah, that's exactly the way it is in the U.S." But so the elephant dance was one of the weirdest. So after the guys have had beer and they're drunk and naked, they get a circle and they crank up the house music so loud. It's like boom, 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 boom. And they tell the guys, you shut your arms. Then they said, now let go. And then you turn to your right and you're in a circle. You turn to the right and they say, you got to grab the guy behind you by the tail, if you know what I mean. And then the guy in front of him grabs him. And then the loud music is there. And they say, okay, now you got to dance until we tell you to stop dancing. And so they have to go in a circle dancing, holding each other's tail. and you can imagine, this is very, very like the guys over there, they've all seen that and everything. And for me, it's like watching a horror movie.
You just watch the Human Centipede and they're like, no, this is normal. This is normal.
And it's like, what is going on? But then
this is so normal. We definitely do this in America.
Yeah, we do this all the time.
Crazy Belgian bastards.
And so they do that. And it's funny because you can tell that some guys actually enjoyed this. It's like, it's like, how could you?
It's the camaraderie of, being involved in the frat or whatever. That's wild.
So that was one of the weirdest hazing events I ever saw, was the elephant dance. So Kip, if ever you find yourself in Belgium and somebody invites you to do the elephant dance, think twice.
Yeah, I'll probably have to politely pass, but to each their own. If you want to get into the school, you got to do the dance. Now, at the same time, if there was something like that, like somebody was like, you want to go to school in Paris and drink wine, I would dance around nude and let somebody grab my gear. If that was the penance for admission, I would gladly take it. I'm okay with that. But otherwise, yeah, that sounds like an interesting dynamic.
Oh, well, and it's crazy because, like I said, all the hazing was always done in the nude. It's just absolutely bizarre. But I guess that's part of being cultured.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm not gonna they have beers from like 1200, 600 years before we were a fucking country. So I'm not going to sit here and knock their traditions or their ways. No. I'm not one to do, as someone that smokes weed on a couch every day at a certain time, I'm not one to throw shade on traditions.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So to each their own in that one. Okay, so I'll bring us back to this side of the pond for you. Seeing as we're sitting here with a revolutionary person such as yourself, people probably want to know, what are some of your favorite breweries in Colorado? Like some that have inspired you. I know you mentioned you mentioned Fat Tire earlier, and I was thinking Sweetwater. But anyways, what are some of the ones in Colorado you like that maybe put some other folks on there trying to taste some craft beers they don't usually taste?
Well, Sweetwater is a pretty fantastic brew.
I know, but I just rethought from earlier when I said that we bootlegged it back from Georgia, but sorry.
Well, no problem. Yeah, so New Belgium is always a fun one, mainly because when I got back from Belgium, it was 1992, and Jeff Liebisch and Kim Jordan had just opened up New Belgium. and it was a Belgian style brewery. And I had just come back from Belgium with a PhD in brewing. So I called him on the phone and I said, hey, my wife and I just got back after living there for 4 years. I said, can we visit your brewery? And they said, yeah. And so we went up, and at that time, the brewery was in the basement of their house. And Jeff had put together these small tanks in the basement, and it took up almost every square inch down there. And so I said, wow, this is pretty cool. And he said, you want to taste some of the beers? And I said, sure. And he was bottle conditioning the beers. And so he opened up a Fat Tire, and I tasted it. And I said, this has a little bit of sourness. I said, there's probably an infection with bacteria. But I said it in a nice way.
Not like, oh, as the guy that has the PhD in the department.
Yeah. And so I said, do you have a way to purify your yeast? And he said, no. And I said, well, I have a lab. I said, do you want me to purify your yeast and get all that bacteria out of there? He said, yeah, if you can. So I did that. And it was funny because I would make the yeast for him for, gosh, it was quite a while. He would come up to our house about every 3 months to get a pure load of yeast. And then I helped him with the Fat Tire beer, because back then the Fat Tire beer was you had a lot of chocolate malt. It was really bitter. It was actually pretty good by today's standards, but back then it was really robust. And I said, you should streamline this to really sell a bunch more. So I gave him advice on how to streamline it, and so he did. And and then Fat Tire really started taking off. And so that's one of the breweries they've always believed in quality, and so that's one I always go back to and have a beer. It's fun. Avery is another brewery that's always great to go to. Mountain Sun's in the past, I remember I would always go there because they had just
killer chicken wings too.
Oh yeah. Who else? Gosh, there's just so many breweries. It's it's just crazy because there's just so many breweries.
There's just so many. What do you think about that? Like, do you feel like there's a saturation level, or like, have we gotten to the point where it's overkill? And then I'm going to ask you what your stance is on hazy IPAs.
Is it overkill? No, I think as far as brewing, I think we could probably stand to have a couple more breweries out there too, because there's so many different types of beers. It pushes the envelope when it comes to creativity, because the ones that end up not making good beer, they get weeded out naturally by evolution. And so the good ones stick around. And so I think right now there are, 350 breweries in Colorado. I mean, it's just crazy how many breweries there are. And they're still in business. That tells me that they're making awesome beers, that people are still keeping them in business. And so, it's the bad ones get weeded out, the good ones stay, and even better ones come along. So I think, to me, it's not overkill. I think we could even use a few more breweries just to keep things moving.
Hey, I like it. Competition breeds evolution. Here's one last question. I've heard not last, but another one. We've heard people shit on hazy IPAs like it's just like the Gradu that was left in the tank. Every botched beer is turned into a hazy IPA. What's your stance on this new age of like the flavor shift to the hazy paradigm, sours and seltzers taking over the world? What's your thoughts on all those flavors?
Well, I think there's a flavor for every person out there, because if you tell people, oh man, this IPA is awesome, they're going to say, whoa, that's too bitter. Or if you say this sour beer is great, they'll say, yuck, that's sour. But there's always somebody else who says, ooh man, give me another sour, give me another hazy, give me another. There's people, all of us are different. Our taste buds are different. We evaluate our own beers differently. So there's a beer for everybody out there. Even for those people who say, I don't like beer, that you offer them a beer, they go, no, I don't like beer. But maybe offer them a really nice pastry IPA, made with chocolate donuts. And they may say, ooh, that's awesome beer. Or a barrel-aged imperial stout.
Wait, you're going to tell me that someone that doesn't like beer, you're going to pitch them an imperial stout beer?
Barrel-aged imperial stout is almost wine-like. Bitterness is well balanced. It's very warming with the alcohol, because typically they'll have the imperial stouts will have 10, 11, 12% alcohol, but it's smooth. And then when it's barrel aged, you get that, depending on what spirit was in the barrel, you can have a bourbon flavor come through, a Scotch whiskey flavor, a tequila flavor. You can have these flavors come through in the beer. And so you taste it and it's like, wow, that's nice, smooth. And and it's just people who aren't beer people, I've had them taste an imperial barrel-aged stout and they walk away saying, wow, I didn't think beer could be like that, because they were expecting a Bud Light or a Coors Light or a Corona.
See, okay, so I need to go have beers with you because I'm not a beer guy. Like my co-host is a beer guy. I enjoy wine, hard liquor, and then I've come around on seltzers and sours, but I used to drink just your run-of-the-mill domestics and things of that nature like we were talking about. So I want to be introduced to what you were talking about. These things like if you like red wine, then you would like this. Or if you like to have bourbon after work, I want to do a tour day cocktail. I'm taking you to happy hour wherever you want to
go. Sounds fantastic. It's because it really is. It's a beer journey is really, if it's done right with somebody who knows beer. I'm not saying that I know anything about beer, but if you go with someone who they can help you on your journey, and you will enjoy yourself, and you'll walk away saying, wow, I didn't know I loved beer that much. And you'll find a style that you like.
I love it, man. And I feel like, if it's not that, if you like beer but you don't like the beer buzz, then why not give Ceria Brewery a try? That's a great alternative to, if you're still looking for a way to unwind after a long day, but you don't want that beer buzz or whatever, try out Ceria Brewery, the can of beer that has the 5 and the 10.
Yeah, and you won't. You can have a couple, and you won't wake up with a hangover the next morning.
Bam, that's exactly right. All right, so I have a couple questions we ask all of our guests, and so I think a lot of people are going to be pretty excited to hear maybe what your insight is. You've been around Colorado for a fair amount of time, so I think this will be a pretty good question. Our questions. So we'll start with this one. Favorite happy hour in Colorado / Denver Metro?
Favorite happy hour? Probably, gosh. To me, I like just going to Yard House because huge selection. And it's like
every game on, you can't beat that.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great places, but they just have so many on tap. It's like you can have everything from, a Coors Light to a barrel-aged Imperial Yeti. I mean, it's just the choice is incredible. And during happy hour, you can get some really good prices on some good beers.
Ooh, I'm not going to lie. That's a good gem. Our listeners are going to be like, you know what? That guy's right. And there's one on 16th Street. There's one out at Colorado Mills. There may be one at Park Meadows as well. But they're everywhere, and they don't suck, and especially in that regard. Great idea. Great call. I like it. All right, so this is a good question. A restaurant you've either been excited to go back to since COVID, or the first one you were most excited to go back to that you maybe already hit?
Oh gosh, well, I would say sometimes I feel like beer and sometimes I feel like wine.
Oh, this can be dinner or food or anything. This doesn't have to be cocktails.
Okay, yeah. So in that case, my wife and I we just went to Indulge Wine Bar. I think there's 2 or 3 of them in the Denver area. And they have a great selection of wines. And then the foods, gosh, I get the ahi tuna and pair that up with usually a really good California Chardonnay. And it's just, it goes down so nicely. It's good stuff.
I love that call too. So are you also kind of a wine buff and hard liquor buff? Like, do you just enjoy alcohol in all varieties?
Yes and yes.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not knocking. I do as well. I'd be like, who doesn't fancy a nice, mezcal on a Sunday evening?
Except for, in my case, it's funny because whenever I find something I like, I try to dig down a little bit deeper. So with wine, I found out that I liked wine a long time ago. So I got into making wine at home. And
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
Well, and so we got to the point where every year for like 10 or 15 years, I would get about 500 pounds of grapes, either from the western slope of Colorado or from California, bring them here,